Our scripture reading comes this morning. It's short, but I think it's very important and to the point. The first scripture reading comes from Micah chapter 8. He has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to be justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Then from the Gospel according to Luke, in chapter 18, verse 27. And Jesus says, the things which are impossible with men are possible with God. Last Sunday, Pastor Ben's message was entitled, U-Turns Allowed. He talked about how during our lives we go down many different roads. Sometimes those roads are good, and sometimes those roads are not so good for our lives. And then sometimes we lose sight of where we are going. But if we think about it, the Bible is always the correct roadmap to get us back on track. And Jesus is the voice and the listening ear that we need. As I was putting this together and I was thinking about that, and I talked to Pastor Ben last Sunday at the spaghetti luncheon, and had thought at least about my title. I said, we're going to have a little sermon series going on here, because I'm just going to springboard off of what you did today. And then as I was putting this together, and I'm talking about Pastor Ben's U-turns, and then we talk about the Bible and God's voice, it reminded me of a GPS unit. And if any of you have ever used a GPS unit to go where you're going, you know it will tell you, and it always knows exactly where it's at, and it will always tell you exactly where to go. And sometimes we know better than it does, and so we go down a different road. And at least us guys, we still say, I'm not going to listen to that thing. Especially a lot of times because it's the lady's voice, right? I was hoping that wasn't going to hurt me. That's just a joke. But that voice says, do a U-turn when possible. And sometimes we still don't always do that U-turn. So I ask you today, did you make a U-turn this week? I hope and pray that each one of us take the time to evaluate our lives and what type of U-turn is needed for us. So, what are you doing? That question was asked of 3 workers. The first worker answered, I am laying stones. The second worker answered, I'm building a building. And the third responded saying, I am raising a cathedral for the worship of God. So what are you doing? That question, again, was asked of 3 teachers. The first teacher said, I am putting up with these kids. The second said, I'm teaching these children to share. And the third responded, I'm showing these future leaders how to live for God. So what are you doing? This is a lifelong lesson, a lifelong question. Whatever your job is, wherever you work, wherever you go to school, whoever your friends are, whatever clubs or organizations that you belong to, what difference are you making in the world? How is your faith expressed? Not here, in church, because it's easy to express it here. But when we walk out these doors, how is your faith expressed? God gives us a to-do list in Micah 6:8. Do you act justly? Do you love mercy? And do you walk humbly with God? Yesterday, I was talking to Mike Riebersall on the phone, and we were talking about various things, and he said, hey, I've got to tell you some things that happened to me this week. And so we talked quite a while about a few things that had happened to Mike, and after I hung up, I go, you know, one of those examples, or one of those things, I shouldn't say examples, one of those things that happened to Mike this week goes great in showing about justly, love mercy, and walk humbly. And for the ones of you that don't know, Mike's in sales, and Mike's territory is in Michigan. And so there's a lot of Monday mornings Mike will leave at 4 o'clock or so in the morning to get to Michigan to make an 8 or 8:30 appointment with his clients. So last Monday, Mike left at 4 in the morning, so it was obviously still dark, and was headed to Michigan. He got to the toll booth as he was going from Ohio to Indiana, and there was a car coming up beside him, speeding up, going to pass him. Now, there's 2 cars on the road, on the toll road at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the ones of you that know Mike's kind of a jokester and likes to joke around, and Mike said, I'm not going to let this guy pass me. So he speeds up to, I think Mike told me, 79 and 55. Well, Mike didn't realize it, but the car that was passing him was an Ohio State patrolman. Because it was dark. And so I said, when did you realize it? And Mike said, when I slowed down, and he turned his lights on. When he slowed down, to get behind me and turned his lights on. So Mike proceeded to start his week with the Ohio State Patrol sitting behind him. So he said the officer come up and asked him, have you had a moving violation in the last 12 months? Mike said, sir, I've never had a moving violation. And so the officer said, if that is true, I'm going to let you go with a warning. So Mike said a few minutes goes by, and the officer comes back up, gives him his license, gives him his warning, and says, go on your way. So Mike and I laughed about it and talked about it yesterday on the phone. But if I think about that, that officer was obviously doing all 3 of those things, right? I mean, he had Mike, 79 and 55, and Mike thought he was going to be funny and not let this guy pass him. Little did he know it was State Patrol. And the officer then walked humbly, because obviously that officer had the authority and the right to give Mike a ticket. And like Mike said, there wasn't any reason. I mean, he had me. I know I did wrong. There wasn't any reason to give him some big story. So the first item on God's to-do list for us is to act justly. This means we should treat people fairly. What happened to you or someone you know this week that is unfair? Let me ask you this. How many people like ice cream? I know Rodney does. All right, let's say from right here over this way, I gave each one of you 2 ice cream cones. How would you guys all feel? I see thumbs up. I see people shaking their heads. They like that idea. You'd like that, right? So from here over, how would all you feel? Kind of like you look. I know Ronnie would be happy. Now, what can we do to make that fair? This group could give one of their ice creams to this group, right?